You all right, mate?
Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Extra Time. I'm joined by George and Tony. How you doing, George? How you doing, Tony?
Yeah, I'm good, Dave. How's you, mate?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good.
Yeah.
George's having a couple of tech issues here.
Yeah, we're watching. I was watching game last night, and I felt for you, mate, because as we'll discuss later, it was a tough one, wasn't it? It really was tough one to take. Really, how we lost it. Let's be honest.
It was. To me, we'll touch on it. Obviously, we've got two games to touch on. We've got the game from last night, Boreham Wood. We've got the Man City game
Yeah,
on Saturday. And then we've also got the Villa Gate preview. While George sorts out his equipment, I don't know if you've seen the big news today, Tony. Andy Carroll is the new interim manager of Dagenham and Redbridge, and I could not have ever imagined seeing Andy Carroll in a suit and tie on a touchline.
no, me. But he's earning his. If it can earn wages out of it, fair play, lad. You know what I mean? But no, I'm absolutely gobsmacked as well.
So who is the most unlikely West Ham player, past or present, that you think would become a manager?
It's a tough one, is this? Am I answering this one in that they would never become a manager, and if they did, they'd be absolutely shocking, or they'd never become a manager and they'd be brilliant?
Just never become manager. I could never imagine Andy Carroll for the life of me as a football manager. I just couldn't see it.
I get that. Yeah, I totally get that. Do you know I couldn't ever imagine being a manager? And I simply couldn't, because he'd just bottle it. As soon as pressure come on, he'd bottle it and he'd spit his dummy out. And at times he was a good player for us. And it's pretty recent. You must know he is. And it just spit his dummy out and start crying. And he just won't play no more. And then he'd down tools and drop us in shit like he has done often. And it's Paquetá. I couldn't ever see him ever becoming a manager. That's who I put down. You know, there's players who are, who you can say was unlikely to be a manager, that maybe could be, but you wouldn't ever see that happening. And probably Noble as well, because he's always said that the thing he'd hate about that is that he loves to succeed, and no manager succeeds completely, do they? Unless you probably include Klopp. There's one or two, isn't there? But yeah, I think I'd say Paquetá, me, the most unlikely to ever be a manager, most unlikely ever, because he probably knows he'd bottle it and spit it out straight away as soon as chips were down. Who's yours,
you, Nicky? Fingers crossed this works. Welcome back, George.
Hello, can you hear me now?
We can hear you now, George. George,
yeah,
who?
cool.
Right, we're just discussing who is the least likely West Ham player, past or present, to become a manager in the wake of Andy Carroll getting a job on a presumably caretaker, interim, maybe full-time basis at Dagenham.
I mean, I would have said Paulo Di Canio because he don't take any nonsense, but he's already been a manager. That's a good question, to be honest. Who was our player that just didn't like football in the slightest? It was a fullback.
Max Kilman.
I mean, he's just not very good at football.
Really good.
I'd probably say, from what I've seen on TV, probably Robert Green. He doesn't come across as a very motivating guy, and I can't imagine players wanting to play for him too much.
My first thought was Freddie Canuto. Remember him? He was very kind of
You're showing your
languid.
You're showing your age there, mate.
I know. No, I've just got a really long memory because we all know, like, I don't look a day over 27. I can just remember from an early age.
That was a good one with Machiavelli, wasn't it? Let's be honest, that was a belter. He'd be pissed up on touchline, wouldn't he? Because he liked to drink, didn't he?
He did like a drink, to be fair. Rich says Roberto. I can't imagine. I'd imagine Roberto's tired, slipped through his hands trying to get dressed. Before we move on though, before we move on to the football, Malik Diouf, former AFCON winner. I mean, this is going to set a bizarre precedent, George, isn't it? If we can just go back and change the results of games 2 months afterwards, like I'd still like to go back to that Nottingham Forest game for that penalty that never was. Maybe we could get that result changed. Maybe we could just give us the points. Like, can you go back 2 months after a result and go, actually, we're going to change that? We don't like the original.
No, it devalues the entire competition if you're just going to pick the winner yourselves. Like, it's whether it's a West Ham player involved in terms of we wanted it for Doofy, fair enough. But even so, you can't be doing that because, like you said, the precedent it sets of, I'm not happy with that. So what? We're going to just fix World Cups now? It's ridiculous.
Probably, George. Yeah, probably. That might be in near future. Yeah, probably. We'd also got 3 points against Brighton, by the way, when there were the handball that didn't lead directly to goal, but afterwards it did lead to goal. And then there was a dangerous overhead kick that nearly, which could have possibly knocked Mav out. Unfortunately, it didn't. It just scraped his face, I think. But they give goals still. But if they look back on that, they'll give us 3 points for that as well, won't they? And that's where we'd be at now if this continues.
It's people trying to control football from a non-footballing position. It started with VAR. So it started with the goal line technology, which there's a reason for that, fine. Then they brought in VAR. They're trying to referee games from somewhere that isn't the stadium, which is ridiculous. And now they're literally trying to fix competitions. It's a joke.
Yeah.
I've heard some things as well saying, it's because of the African Confederation. It's always been corrupt. That's got nothing to do with it. Micromanagement in football is rife. And compared to what it was even 5 years ago when VAR first come in, it's so different now. It's ridiculous. They're giving anything and everything just to try and be in control.
They are, mate. They really are. We're seeing it every single week. Every single week.
I mean, is it scary now that we could possibly go back to 1966 and West Germany could put forward a case that Jeff Bird never crossed the line? Is that the realm where we want football to go?
We want football.
Go on, Tony. Sorry, mate.
Yeah, we're never going to get what I want. We want rid of all this VAR and let's argue over ref and lino. And we're doing that now at a different level, as we know, Dave. You've called out a few linos lately. I'd rather that. I really would. But it's got ridiculous, hasn't it? It's absolutely beyond ridiculous. And now we've got this with AFCON. It's just where we're going. It's where we're going. I'd rather go back to a ref and a lino, but it's never going to happen now because now it's just become so big, and you just fear the worst for football in longer term because it is getting ridiculous. When's a push? Not a push. When's he put enough on him? When hasn't he? And it's just going on and on and on. And because the refs don't ref no more. They just don't ref. They're just not sure. There's no bottle no more. They just know that they've got an earpiece here and they're watching it on VAR, and then they're listening to that. I'm not sure on that. I'm not going to give it. They're bottling it. Anything they're not sure on now, they don't give it because they're going to get the answer anyway, whether it's right or wrong. And if they're not sure, then they'll say to ref, listen, ref, you need to have a look at it. We're not right sure, but we think this, but tell us what you think. And then he goes and looks, and he normally, we don't hear, do we, what they're saying. We can only go with what we're hearing they tell them to go look at it. We don't know what they're saying in the air. We don't know if they're saying, have a look at that ref, it's a penalty. And if they say that, then he's going to give it. Because is the three of them in VAR, Dave?
Two, I think. I think you've got a referee and a assistant referee. But Tony, that is a lovely segue because last night at Boreham Wood, me and George watched the game and you watched it on YouTube.
Yeah.
That didn't have VAR, where a referee and a linesman did just make the calls.
Yeah.
And it was quite refreshing
they
to
were
see that.
stinking. They were stinking, but at least it was them making the decisions, wasn't it?
Yeah. I'd still rather that, George. I'd still rather that. And yes,
100%.
But
100%,
we can only blame ourselves overall. By and large, we can only blame ourselves for losing that game. Eric played an absolute blinder of a game. And then, who believed that happens? And you've been a goalkeeper yourself, Dave, as little as I am, so I believe it or not. And there's no worse. And I felt for lad when he just curled up on floor because we've all been there. It's absolutely awful. And then what makes it worse is we have the game won, obviously, and then that happens in last minute and a half. And then what makes it even worse is the penalty that hits the post and comes out. It's the worst feeling in the world, Dave. It hits you on back and goes in. I've had it hit back of my nut and gone in, and there's no worse in it. So I just take me hat off to all lads who did so well overall. Yeah, we got ripped apart by Abdul Malik. He was a good player last night, as were plenty of them. That they were really feeding it down there, as you were saying down our right hand side, George. They were getting us and they were. But overall, how we lost the game, I can only say we were unlucky. Yeah, they hit underside
I completely disagree there. We weren't unlucky. There was a pattern, like you said, they targeted one of our sides. I believe it was our right-hand side. And you could see that at the start of the second half. Now, I've studied football coaching at uni, and that was only to a certain level, fair enough. But even I can see, if you've got a problem, you rectify it. If you want to keep three in the back, fine. Put three in the midfield and have one of the midfielders shielding, so when the fullback goes forward, he drops into fullback, so you've still got a 2v1. It ain't rocket science.
No,
because we were getting the ball and playing football. We were playing well.
But we didn't lose it there, George.
Tactical thing messed it up.
You can't say we lost it there. We didn't lose the game there. We lost the game. There were Rick from Herrick in last minute game, and then on penalty shootout, we lost that.
Mate, I'm not going to lie. Finn Herrick made a couple of worldy saves. There was one where he's had it one-on-one, and he had no right to make it, and he's made an outstanding save.
They were fantastic, yeah.
But, I think that comes down to the manager for me.
I think two absolute, one massive unlucky. Well, yeah, the one through his legs. Yeah, you've still got to be a better keeper. You've got to do better than that, and it does happen. But you know that takes it to that takes it to penalties, and then on the penalty that hits the post and comes out and goes in off his back. I think we did. I think we still did enough, no matter how good they were down that left hand side. We still did enough to have won that game. I thought we were still good enough as an academy side to have beat them. That's how I felt, and that's what I saw, and that's what I watched. Although I did miss first half hour.
I mean, we played well for probably an hour of that game. In the end, it was back to the wall, wasn't it? But it
was tough.
The superior fitness told in the end, I think. But the main thing, if you see a problem, change it. I don't get what the issue was. It was so obvious what was going on.
But there were plenty of times, George, in that second half where we were a problem to them as well, and we missed chances. We missed a few chances where we might have scored. Our finishing should have been better.
But definitely. But in terms of we were counter-attacking in that second half, whereas in the first half we had control of that game. We were controlling it. The energy was there. We were setting the tempo. And I get you're 2-0 up, so you want to kind of sit on it and try and defend and hit on the break. But when that isn't working, and when you can see a massive problem to the level which it became, that's on the management, or at least the players, to have a word with the management and say, right, this isn't working. We need to change it, or we need some protection, something.
I think the one thing that you've both kind of missed a little bit with the 21s football is 21s football isn't there to win games. So Greg Lincoln, for me, and I think I said this to you last night, George, isn't as good a coach as Mark Robson. But Greg, his job isn't to go and win games; it's to develop players. So,
mate, I don't believe it's a cup final
and game strategies.
In a normal game,
George,
fair enough.
I'm telling you, look. The whole purpose of this competition is so that youth team players at that level get an opportunity to prove that. Firstly, play against men and prove they can play against National League sides in the same way that we go into the whatever trophy they call the Johnson's Paint now to get experience playing League 1, League 2. Yeah, you go in it to play against League 1, League 2 sides and show that you're, to get a little bit of learning, a little bit of development, and the kind of football that you don't get in 21s. On Finn Herrick for me, and I think I've said this before, is possibly a future West Ham number one. He's a phenomenal goalkeeper at academy level. And it was a great shame last night. And, I saw him, he came over at the end to his family. I could see he had tears in his eyes. Like, it was horrible to see. But he'll bounce back from that. And the thing is that as bad as that mistake was, go back and watch our first goal. Lewis Orford scuffs that shot. Ted Kerr gets two hands to it in a Bournemouth goal, and there's no pace on it, and it still finds its way through and just bounces in the back of the net. Unfortunately, that's goalkeeping. If you make a mistake and if you make a mistake like that and your team wins 5-1, that gets brushed under the carpet very, very quickly. If you're in a National League Cup final and it's, I think from memory, Mason Terry played the FA Youth Cup, so this could well be Finn's biggest game, certainly at West Ham. And you make that mistake in that game, it in those circumstances, it becomes a little bit more, what's the word? Just a little bit more noteworthy. But, for a lot of people, I think that may be a lot of people's first time watching him. The kid had a loan spell at Boreham Wood. We have completely fluffed his development. We should have left him at Boreham Wood. Fabianski had a back spasm. We said we'll cut that loan short. And that's why Ted Kerr went there from Chelsea. He should still be out there. We should still be playing men's football. We've brought him back. He's not really kicked a ball. He's not had anything. All he's done is kick balls in warm-ups. A kid ain't going to learn doing that. I'm sorry. He's got to play football. He's got to play. He should have had that loan in an environment where he's got players that are playing for their future. He's got fans that are going to be talking about him on social media. Like I said, I went to the Reading game on Friday night, the 21s. I counted 43 people. That's no crowd at all. And I think Finn Hooper played in goal, not Finn Herrick. Well, Finn Hooper did play in goal. Like, there's no great expectation in playing in that. Obviously, he goes to Boreham Wood, he gets that experience. We should have left him there. We've done wrong by Finn, but we've done wrong by a lot of young players. And I've said this before.
That's what I was going to say.
I'm not going to go back over it. I'm not going to go back over it. But it was gutted. And like you said, you go back at that penalty, hits the post, hits his back. If he goes the wrong way on that, we've won. We've won that penalty shootout. It's just he goes the right way. He doesn't have to get to it. It's come off the post. And wasn't that long ago, the rule was that if the ball stopped moving, once the ball stops going forward, it's dead. As soon as that ball comes back off the post, they've missed that penalty. But
still hoping
that's a rule change in football.
I was still hoping. I didn't know it changed. I wasn't even sure on that one. I thought when it's gone back in, it's come out, so it don't count. But obviously, off at keeper, it does. And you just had to feel for him. It just, despite such a great showing, how many times does it happen when you're in goal? You can play a blinder, and like you say, you make the howler, and that's it. And it does. It absolutely breaks you. And then that just summed it up. Everyone who has any bit of compassion will have felt for that lad when it hit him on back and went back in. And then to make matters worse, is it Chelsea loanee, the keeper who saved one?
Yeah, he's from Chelsea.
Yeah, and then it goes and makes that flying save. Yeah, it was an absolute killer, and I thought we'd still done enough to a one game. I thought it was a heck of a shift from them. I really do. Yeah, we got, like I say, that the Abdul Malik. He was tasty little player, wasn't he, on night? As would a few, but plenty of ours would as well. But we missed some chances as well. We could have had more.
that's one of my other gripes as well, in terms of the young players. So they're going to learn, like you said, Dave. This is the time you want to make those mistakes in this level of football. But the amount of times we could have had a shot or played the pass earlier and we held on to it for a second too long, that's going to come with experience. That ain't me digging them out, but that's the difference between playing men's football and junior football, or like youth football, if you want to call it that. It is just that split-second decision making.
And it happens at Premiership football as well, with respect to these academy players. There's plenty hold on the ball and don't shoot when they should. There's plenty don't make the right pass. So I just can't praise him enough, mate. I haven't been watching him enough, to be honest with you, every now and then. And, when I got on telly last night and started watching it, I enjoyed it. And I thought they gave it all and they worked so hard. And I think as pundits sometimes, it's easy to get too critical. Should we have this? Should we have that? We're all right in hindsight, looking back, of course, because we can perfect it and say exactly what should be done. But when you're in heat at moment and in heat at game, it's easier said than done. When you've played footy.
Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. Those boys, they've been a credit to this club, and the academy has been a credit to this club for a couple of years now. You think we won the FA Youth Cup in, I think it's 2023. We've obviously got to the final with this, and they played some good football. Don't let the result distract you from the fact that, like I said, for about an hour, we were the best team. We were. And what I liked is the fans that were there were the real fans. The fans that were there got behind the boys. Like, I haven't seen a West Ham crowd get behind them in a long time. There was no slagging off if someone missed a pass. It was just purely getting behind them and trying to cheer them on to victory.
Atmosphere looked great. I mean, I don't know how it felt down there, but it looked great on telly. It was fun. Couldn't half hear you all. It was fantastic, honestly.
There was 2,800 fans there. I'd say half of them were West Ham fans, Dave, would you say?
Yeah, it sounded like
it. Yeah, it was, I think. Probably just over if you allow for fans West Ham fans that might have bought tickets in the home end when they.
But no, it's good atmosphere. Good night all round. I really enjoyed it. And if I could go to more games, and I can't drive, so I can't get to the training ground because I don't live anywhere near the training ground either. But when I can, I'm going to go and watch the 23s now. That was really enjoyable last night.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, we've got 2 games left this season in the PL2. I've got Blackburn away and on Friday, Spurs away Easter Saturday, the day before we play Leeds over at Stevenage. And then we go into, if we finish in the top 16, we enter the playoffs, and then I don't know how that all works, to be honest. It always feels a bit random when they.
Where are we now? Are we in the playoffs?
We are, but I think teams around us have games in hand. I haven't looked at it since Friday. I think there's a few teams around us that they've got a few games to play. I think we've played a couple more than everyone else. But the last thing I want to say on this is that if you look at it over the season, like, they've played some good teams at that level. They've played Sutton, Tamworth, Boston, Woking, and obviously Bournemouth last night in the playoffs. And they've not disgraced themselves. They've done well in the
Did they play Colchester, or am I imagining that?
That was in the Virtu, I think. Did that in the Virtu. And then went out to Wimbledon.
So look at the quality we've lost as well. Look at the players. There's no Kante in there, no Earthy in there. We've lost some good players as well, haven't we? Who might have been there last night.
And you've got
Ezra Mayers played the earlier rounds.
Myers as well, yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Fair play to them. They're still mucked in and, with losing some really good players. In fact, players that are now in the first team squad.
Yeah, so to just go back to the point I wanted to make is that, next season, some of these players do need loans. If they're not going to be around, I thought Golan Beckis last night was superb. He's ready for a step up into men's football.
Yeah.
If it's not going to be at West Ham, and right now, you'd argue it's not, especially in his position with the way the centre halves are playing. He needs, get him out into a League One, League Two side. but do it early. You know, let's not wait until deadline day. And I don't want to remake arguments I made last week or the week before, but you've seen it now. You know, we've gone through, we've beaten men's teams at that lower level. These players are good enough to make the step up. Preston Fearing can make a step up. Aurelius Gunnar-Beckers can make a step up. Ryan Batcham can make a step up. Lewis Orford can make a step up. You know, get these kids loans, get them early. Whoever's in charge of the loans at West Ham, get this done. Get this done so at the end, when they come back at the end of or the middle of June from their pre-season holidays or their post-season holidays, and they're going into pre-season, have those moves lined up so that clubs can just go straight into pre-season training, have those friendlies, have those warm-up games, and start the season head down running. Let's not do what we did this season, leave it to deadline day, diver all through the summer, and then go actually just go. When they're trying to go into settled teams.
If you look at Aston Villa, so I think it's Aston Villa, but it might be another Midlands club. They've got a relationship with, I think it's Exeter City. So, and they've had successful loans there in the past. So they keep sending loan players to that club because they know there's a continuity in how they play, how they recruit, and so on, so on. We need something like that. Say, right, like you say, come back from your holidays, right, you go into this club and it's done. You know you can trust the player, you know you can trust the manager and the club because you know what they're all about.
God, we need so much more with these kind of things, further development and definitely recruitment. I can't wait for the day, and I hope it's soon that we start getting more of this with development and recruitment and getting right players in.
It all comes down to the one thing, though. We've got I've said this time and time again, and I've said it on here before. There's no overarching club structure. There's nothing that makes you think, cool, we're going in this direction as a club. So the youth players have got this, and then the first team have got this, and we're recruiting for this way of playing under this style of head coach. There's no kind of continuity, and it's not synced together. It's just kind of this is this season. We've got this manager, we'll buy him players. When we get a new manager, and he'll want his own players, and then we've got a mismatch, like we had this season of 3 different managers. It's stupid.
Overpaying. We overpay for players most of the time. We lose loads and loads of money when they're not worth not like as much. And it just happens too many times. We've had some... I'm delighted we got, 35 million or something for Paquetá. I really am, because I get what he went through. But we virtually lost that player then, really. I agree. It all needs to change. It really has to change. We need a proper, decent head of recruitment to progress the club and stop spending silly money. The recruitment, the manager, they have to get their heads together on what's going to be right for this club. And it don't have to be silly money. We've seen that as well in the past, not as often, but that's what they've got to work on it. Come on, it's not rocket science, is it?
People were digging out Tim Stainton when he come in saying, the Stainton transfer window wasn't good, it wasn't this, it wasn't that. He was given one window. If you look at Arsenal's, when Arteta come in, they had an entire change in the way they run the club. If you look at Arsenal's first couple of transfer windows, they weren't great. They got in players like Tomiyasu and Cedric. They're not the players they've got now, but because it was playing to a way and they were the first pieces of a very big jigsaw puzzle, and that's what it is. It isn't going to be a 2-minute thing. Football isn't that. It's not as simple as that. It's cool. We've got a plan that we're going to work over the next 5 years and work towards it. It ain't hard. If I can see it, why can't they?
That's it. Yeah, I totally agree with you. And Moisey himself, he's had good signings, but he's brought some absolute stinkers. I think he brought Andy Irving.
Vlasic, he was 25 to 40 million, depending on add-ons. Like you said, Andy Irving.
Yeah. Just that Premiership level. I mean, what are they looking at when they're wanting these players coming in? The Argentinian who come in, who brought him? Who brought the Argentinian? I can't even remember his frigging name. That's how little he means to me. Recently. Not Potter, what Gaffer before. They mean that little to me. They're not
Rodriguez.
them in the head.
Rodriguez.
Yes. He was shit, but he was brought in, and there's just been too much of it, hasn't there? Too much of it. Quick signings, rush signings as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Everything
They want
normally is
short-term
late.
solutions to a long-term problem.
Like we say, even Disassi, that were a rush thing because there was nothing else going. And obviously, it did look a gamble, let's be honest. It really, really did.
Yep.
But we've been lucky. But now we're not lucky because at the end of the season, if we want him, we probably won't be able to afford him because we didn't do all about it then.
Yeah, because there's no buy option. Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah, this is what I mean. It's same old strategy, like you're saying, George. There's just no strategy again. You know, it's time and time again. We just keep up. We're like a broken record sometimes, aren't we? But the reason we like a broken record is because the whole setup of the club's like a fucking broken record. It just don't change, does it?
Yep. No, like having a manager-led recruitment system is set up to fail because if you want to go in a different direction, then it's stupid because then you've got to buy an entirely new team, as we proved when Lopetegui come in from David Moyes. We bought in, 8 players, all for the first team. None of them really gelled for the first couple of months. We got the manager sacked. Then you get a new manager. He wanted Evan Ferguson on loan. He was a disaster. He goes after the end of the season and we're back to square one.
So what we're getting, George, we're getting, okay, so manager's bringing him. And that started with Moisey. And then Sullivan's getting pissed off with him because he's bringing some shite in. And then he says, right, I'm bringing someone in. You're not signing no one. And then this is what happens. So he can't sign no one. And he's offered a new contract, but he can't sign no one. So then he says, I'll let you know at the end of the season. And he walks. And it was just self-destruction, wasn't it? You know?
Yeah.
Or did we stick with Moisey and let him recruit his stinkers like he did? And he did. He also brought us some belters over the years as well. You know?
I mean, so I'm heavily dyslexic, so I listen to audiobooks. I've listened to Sam Allardyce's book he released when he left West Ham. So Sacco and Zarate weren't even players on Sam Allardyce's radar. They were brought in by Sullivan, basically opposed to what Allardyce wanted. Now, yes, you could argue Sacco worked out, and Zarate, I thought he was quite underrated, but it still speaks to the fact that they'll be going in different directions, and it's just pointless.
It's going to be tough to get them both going in direction, innit? Same direction. Because
as long as Sullivan is there, it's not going to, because he wants to say in how the club is run. You are the money. You are a businessman. You are not a football person. It's not hard. He's a pain in the arse. But everyone knows we're going over old ground with this. But it's just the club is so disjointed from youth to first team. Even my friend of mine's a season ticket holder with the women's, and he goes, they're just as a shambles as the first team are, because there's no overarching strategy at all.
Well, I keep going back to Moisey, and the reason I keep going back to him is because he did a bloody good job for us. Let's respect him. We loved it.
Yep.
And I keep using him as a scapegoat, really, because he's a great example. He brings us a potentially fantastic striker in, and I don't know how didn't he make Scamacca work? And it's things like that piss me off, because surely good man management can say, get your nut on that.
That was more of a tactical thing, because Scamacca played in a 2 or a 3 up front, a narrow front 3, or a 2 in a 3-5-2. We wanted to play him up front by himself. That ain't going to work.
Yeah. Right, so that don't work, George. So why ain't Moisey seen that then? You've seen it, I've seen it. Moisey didn't see it.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree.
And it's things like that piss me off, because these people are on millions of pounds. I'm on about gaffers who's doing this. We pay every earned crust we can get to watch our team up and down country. And these are just fucking about with our money. And it does my nutting, honestly. Yeah, it really does.
Right, boys, I'm going to interject here because we're 35 minutes in, and we're covering stuff that seemed to happen about 10, 15 years ago. But what didn't happen 10, 15 years ago was a good 1-1 draw against Man City. That happened 8 o'clock Saturday night. Bernardo Silva, I don't think he meant that. I don't think. I think he could have another 10 goals. He could have another 100 goals of that. I don't think he recreates that goal.
Do you know what? I'd completely forgotten about that game. It feels like that game was about 10 years ago. But like I said, I'm down the other end. My eyes aren't very good because of my condition. So I just go by crowd roars when it gets to that end. From what I've heard you say about it, he wouldn't have scored it again. But end of the day, they could have had 3 or 4. But we defended really well. We did. I was really, really impressed with the organisation of 3 defenders that we've all been critical of. Disassi for signing and then Mavropanos and Tadibo for their performances. But they were all superb. Mavropanos in particular, outstanding. And Hermansen behind them, I don't know who's Nuno's. He was a keeper, wasn't he? He's clearly worked with him on the training ground because he's a different player. He was coming and claiming everything. Superb from that back 4, including the keeper.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the goal that went past him, what it a cross, what it a shot. It would a 5-a-side version, wasn't it, of Konchesky's against Liverpool? It was a mini version
I like
of that.
I like that description. That's a good description of that.
That's what it reminded me of, a mini version of it. Because there's no way made he was scored. He never went for that. It would have crossed for that. And you know, in net yourself, it's going to catch it out. It could try it, like you say. It could try it 50 times. It's never happening. Just as Konchesky could have done. Yeah.
It's funny you say that, Tony, because I met him when we went up to Everton away last year, and I actually asked him. I said, "Was it a cross or a shot?" And he just laughed and walked away. So I don't know what you want to make.
It would have crossed. It would definitely.
That was a cross on. That was a cross on. Yeah, Konchesky should have crossed. Bernardo's was a cross. I like the 5-a-side. That is definitely one that's sticking the memory. That.
But the performance against Man City. And we use dogged, don't we, often, but by God, that was one of the most dogged ever. Honestly, I wanted the game, so I'm watching it, biting my nails, honestly. And it reminded me, with respect now back to David Moyes, when we've defended for dear life and you can't break us down and you can't get through us and we block and we put something in there. And it was sort of one of them. I think we did it. Did we do it against Arsenal away and get a result? Or Tottenham won it when we were 1-0 down and we came out and beat them 2-1. We probably had 2 breaks, and I think it sums it up because I think that was only shot, wasn't it, when we scored?
I believe so.
That's what you've got to do, and I think it sums it up even better still when Mav takes one full in face. I don't know if that's a Photoshop type thing where balls are squashed on his face or not, but I'll tell you what, he didn't have to take a crack there, and he's gone up higher and higher and higher in my estimation.
The fact he come back on the pitch after that is mad. Honestly, he took that square in the face.
The man's a beast, yeah. And the old defence, I really can't call anyone out. Every one of them give everything. And Manson, again, he's looking better and better now that he's got better defenders. I've said that before. A keeper gets confidence, doesn't he, Dave, when he's got players in front of him who he can rely on. And it's looking so much better. It really is, which I just can't get my head round what happened at Liverpool. I'll go back to that again. We shipped 5 in and then we shipped that one lucky goal in against Man City. It's football, isn't it? It didn't ricochet. It didn't ricochet and go in net. You know, it did twice in an own goal, which were unlucky against them. Against Copites, and it didn't happen this time. I just think we deserved it. We just worked so hard. It would have been so cruel to have lost that. And we even split them open at one point, didn't we? And Bowen ran out of legs, bless him, because he'd not much left, had he? But it was great.
That's what I was going to. That's what I was going to bring up. So if you look, we are so much more structured. If we'd have lost that game, I'd have been absolutely devastated because the structure we set out with and the work ethic and the will and the grit and the determination, yes, they're all cliche words, but those boys gave everything to get that result. And yes, it was only a point and Tottenham matched it. I think Forest matched it as well. Who cares? We've had Man City at home. At one point, I think after about 4 seasons, they'd scored something like 22% of the goals at our stadium because they used to come to our ground and absolutely batter us year after year. We battled for that and we played really, really well. I was particularly impressed. If you look at the way Man City play, they want to play with 4 in the midfield when they have the ball. So one of the midfielders will come in to make one of the fullbacks, will come into midfield, and then they'll have your 2 attacking midfielders and another holder. We had 2 against their 4, and they put in the legwork as if it seemed we had 4 against their 4. The energy, the effort, and everything about it was just superb. I don't mind losing when you play like that. Yeah, but it's not even about getting results. If we lost playing like that, which you're not gonna, you play like that every week, you're gonna be a lot higher than we are.
Yeah, it normally gets
if you lost playing like that, I can take it.
Of course, yeah, I totally agree with you. It were amazing to see. Maybe by default, he might have gone for it back had Summerville been in, but but Dave called it out. I'm not taking no credit off you for that because he did call that lineup and which were amazing. I'll give myself a bit of credit. I called one all. But yeah, it was fantastic. And yeah, you've got to be called out for that, Dave. You picked that lineup, mate. And honestly, it worked. It was good.
Thank you. I did look at that and just think, the way they are at the moment, you kind of want to build something. You've got 3 centre halves in form. Man City, you're going to try and peg you deep. Just sit deep and you're gonna play the card. I think if Summerville had been fit, and if Summerville was fit for Sunday, he probably comes in for Tatty, and I think that kind of leaves a slightly more balanced. Not Tatty, sorry, Pablo. Probably leaves a slightly more balanced front three. I generally speaking, as a basic rule, I think football games are like movies. The first 20 minutes set the scene, and the next 70 minutes is your action, your plot line. And first 20 minutes, I think Man City tried to set that scene that they were going to pass the ball. And for the first 20 minutes, it felt like we didn't really get out of our half.
Yeah, we didn't
really get much of the ball. They just kept it passing. And once that didn't work, I think they started to panic. Obviously, Silva scores. It's Mavropanos gets that bullet header in. And once it went to 1-1, I'd be lying if I said I didn't fear defeat because Man City are a very good side. They're always capable of coming back at you. They're always capable. When you've got the best number 9 in world football, he will take chances if you give them to him. But I did think at that point City were almost out of ideas. I think their confidence had been knocked a little bit. I think they were a little bit shaken by the equaliser. I don't think it necessarily left us in a position to go and get a winner, but I think it certainly stopped them from feeling like they was in that position.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Stopped them trying, Dave. You didn't stop them trying, Dave. They'd 15 corners. They never stopped pressing. They were throwing balls in. It was our defence that stopped them. They were smashing ball. We would get throwing bodies online. So I can't discredit Man City too much because it just went our way. We threw everything in there. Another day you do it and it might fly off someone and go in net. This time it didn't. But I ain't going to fault Man City's effort because I thought they did give everything, but they just couldn't get through us. And we saw it at times with Moisey when we defended. There's teams who's battered us. And then they pretty much did batter us, let's be honest. But they couldn't get through a setup. They couldn't get through it, and it didn't happen. And I think that's credit to City for peppering us and doing everything they could. You've seen Ireland have shots near penalty spot against us, and he's snatched it, dragged it wide. Yeah, it's credit to us for defending so well and making him rush his shot because he's got a man on him. But it's a massive big up to us for keeping clean sheet and against a team who never stopped coming at us.
I think Man City are so much more physical than they used to be. They used to be, cool, we're going to bop it around and we're going to play pretty patterns. Whereas now it is so much more get the ball in the box. And similar to Arsenal, football has kind of reverted from this playing out from the back and drawing them onto you and trying to play through the thirds back to this kind of physical, old school version of it's pretty much a hybrid. But Haaland, he had an off day. But when you're loading the box like they did, you still think someone else is going to score, bearing in mind our record from set pieces. But none of them did. We won everything. Mavropanos was unbelievable. Obviously, I've actually recorded about the defence already. But I can't speak highly enough how proud I was of that performance. Because even 4 months ago, we lose that game. We get battered in that game.
I agree. Yeah, I agree with you.
I mean,
we're not being biased. We're not being biased as West Ham fans here. Everyone else has said the same. What a best defensive performance they've ever seen, or they've seen for a long, long time. And that's everyone, all the pundits, everyone has supported us on that, saying what an outstanding effort from West Ham. For which I'm proud to hear, you know.
Have any of you seen what Paco Jimenez has come out? It might have been said the other day, but it's come out today, I think. What he said about changing the culture about West Ham and the work that him and the backroom team have had to do. And in terms of, because all they've been doing is called mentality, and defensive structure. And you can see it because we were scoring goals enough as it was. We just couldn't defend. We've now got the mentality to go and win every game, and we're defensively sound enough that we can be under pressure for large parts and still get something from the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you say, Tony, I just wanted to ask, did you say that Man City have 15 corners?
Yeah.
Well, that just goes to show, to be fair, how much we've developed and improved and learned from Liverpool.
It does, yeah. And like George was just saying, how immense we are in defence and how we're playing as a team and how we're playing as leaders and believing in ourselves. The only reason I were moaning at times, because as we are after the game when it's gone wrong, I'm first to moan and carry on saying we needed to be more physical. We needed to win them balls coming out there. We needed to win that second ball. And I'm one of the worst critics going for that. But like George said, he was right. At the end of the day, we didn't play too bad at all. We lost, but their best player, Mr. Deflection. And, 2 deflections and 1 goal. That was their best player. We'd have come out of that with something. It just is what it is, isn't it? The performance wasn't that bad. It just don't look good when you see 5-2 Liverpool. You think, oh, God, West Ham have been battered. But we really won't. As we haven't been for quite some time now, we've really played well. And I'm sure that Paco Jimenez came in when the first game, I think it was QPR. I think that was his first game, maybe on touchline. And God, what a change. What a change it's made so that him and Nuno are really working well as players, because they've got into the mentality. And obviously, we've shipped players out who aren't for the club no more. We know they are. And we know what we've got now. And what a difference we're seeing, aren't we?
Right. I found that quote from Paco that I think you was talking about, George. So he said, West Ham's situation was even worse than what I found in Ibiza. What we've done in so few matches is no easy feat in such a competitive league. More than tactical issues, the first thing was to change the dynamic and the morale, which was very low, not only of the players, but also of everyone involved. We had to bring joy, make training sessions more dynamic, and get the team to play with less pressure. Little by little, the team has been finding a different rhythm. We believe in staying up without a doubt. It's not over yet. There are 8 games left and everything is decided now. We've managed to level the playing field. Before we were far behind. Now everything looks different. There's more confidence and more joy. Those are his words.
I think joy is a great word there. Joy is a brilliant word, because it is. Watching West Ham as a fan, and obviously you can see it from the players and the coaching staff, it's fun watching West Ham and being West Ham at the minute because we're not winning every week, but there's something on the line, and it is the most connected I have been to this team since the Europa League run where we got to the semi-finals. There is something about this group of players that the management have instilled that we haven't seen even under the later years of Moyes, in my opinion.
Yeah, we look like an organised football team. We share which system we're playing in. We're playing system. It's great to see. And we need it to continue if we're going to get out of this. Because I'm not sure we're out of it at all. I know there's a lot of
no
people
chance.
from other teams telling me, "Oh, you're staying up, you're staying up." No. There's a long way to go yet. There's some big games coming. What is in us favour if we keep playing like we are is that you've got Spurs and Forest next week, and not long after you've got Spurs and Leeds. So we just have to keep working so hard. And if we keep playing like we are likely to be getting results. I'm hoping, and I hate to hope this, I really do. I think it's 3 games from end of season. West Ham host Arsenal. I hope the title's done by then because Arsenal might be on beach, and we've had some results at home against Arsenal that have been good for us as well. So that I'm not ruling that one out as a win for us either. We can beat Arsenal at home if they're on beach. That'd help, wouldn't it? So I'm still hoping on that.
I mean, is it Forest Tottenham this weekend, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah. Forest and Spurs.
Unless my maths is stupid, if we win against Villa, and it is an if because Villa Park is a hard place to go, and yes, they're falling off the face of the earth in terms of their form, but they're still a damn good side. If we beat Villa, we're out of the relegation zone regardless because one of them 2 teams will drop points.
Correct. Yeah.
So good news. It is now in our hands.
If the draw, we'll go a point above Spurs, I believe, and we'll go 2 above Forest. If Spurs lose, we'll go 2 above them. This is if we win. And if Forest lose, we go 3 above them. It's all right.
So you want Forest to drop Tottenham in the bottom 3.
Yeah. It's a right shenanigan. I'll tell you what, this could be West Ham's greatest ever season, because if we win FA Cup and Spurs go down, I think every single one of us would say it's the greatest season we've ever. Not only have we ever seen, we'd class it as greatest ever season.
Nah, greatest ever. We're nearly getting relegated, mate.
I've suffered far too much this season to consider this season as great. We play Arsenal the day. Not the day after, the game after, the weekend after the second leg of the Champions League semi-final. So if they've had a hard-fought semi-final win against, is it Barcelona or Atletico Madrid by the look of it, maybe they're going to want to take their foot off the pedal a little bit, wind down, especially if they've got one eye on the league, not going to want to take any injuries into the Champions League. So maybe that plays in our favour. But before then, if we look at teams at the top of the league, we do play Villa this weekend. Do we continue with that back 3? Did we see enough on Saturday night that says we can? No,
not for me. Not for me. I mean, Man City's one thing. Villa, like I said, they're a good side. They're up there for a reason. But their form over the last month has been horrendous. Go at them. See what they're made of. Yes, they're getting a few players back from injury and their squad has been stretched. Cool. Still go at them. We're a damn good side. We've got energy. And I do think we go there and win if we play to our full potential at the weekend.
We've got Jimmy back. He's still out?
We don't. It's half and half. They're not entirely sure. There's rumours that he is, but if it was me, I wouldn't risk him.
It would, but at the end of the day, it wasn't no tear or out like that, was it? It was only a kicking calf.
Yeah, but then we've got 2 weeks after this now, haven't we, for international break? I'd say, cool, sit this one out, have 2 weeks rest and recuperation, and then be fighting fit for after the international break. You've still got 7 games to go after that, I think.
Yeah, it'll all be down to what Physio's report is, how he feels himself. And I'm sure if he's up for it, he'll want to play. And if he's got through it and he can sprint and he can shift, then you play him. That's what I think.
No, I agree.
Because it isn't that.
They're paid thousands of pounds, so they know better than us. But I'm just throwing on the side of caution. You got to think long-term success over short-term success. I'd rather have him for 7 games than half a game when he gets injured.
Listen, we could set up the same against City and not lose. You know, a point would still be massive, although we won 3. But you know, obviously, we'd have to get out more. I mean, but they're not gonna press us like City did. You know, they're not good enough. So we will get more joy getting ball out. We'll be able to knock ball out and there'll be somebody there. We'll be able to play a bit higher. So it's a close one. I'm not sure. I'm not sure how we start. You know, Dave, you're a tactician.
Yeah, I'm having an unchanged side. I'm glad unchanged. Personally, I wouldn't take. I wouldn't risk Summerville, and I think the 11 that started the game on Saturday have earned the right to start on Sunday. The one thing I would do is that if we need to make a substitution in midfield, I would leave Magassa sat down and look at Kante or Potts. I think that's the one. With all due respect, Magassa is a young lad. He's growing. You know, he's shown signs as a good player. He's got the inconsistency young players have. But at the moment, this is a time where, you know, we can't afford him to be inconsistent in the wrong way. You know, it's all right. We want to try and give him minutes where possible. We want to try and grow him a little bit, improve him. But yeah, I think this is a time where I'm looking at Kante or Potts if we need a midfielder off the bench.
Yeah, I totally agree with that one. He's coming on like mad, isn't he, Kante?
Yeah, based on his cameo against Man City, I'm edging towards Kante. And Brentford, obviously, but he was immense when he came on. He nearly set up the winner.
Yeah,
but he's like you said, he's got legs. He's a rangy midfield player that's got energy, and he's got that young kind of fearlessness about him that a lot of the first teamers won't have because they're going to be battle scarred by experiences. He has got the inexperience of youth, and that's a good thing in this kind of thing.
So if you wouldn't go with a back 3 or a back 5, how you look at it, George? Are you going to bring Kante into midfield, or are you going to? Yeah. Who are you dropping? Who are you dropping, and who are you bringing in?
I'd probably drop Todibo, bring in Kante, and then play Fernandes, Souček, and Kante in midfield.
What about you, Tony?
You know what? I've not rehearsed it so well. I'm not right sure. There's so many options. I'm not right sure. I'd want a bigger look at what Villa's going to set up with. You know, whichever way we do it, we're still good enough to beat them. Whichever way we do it. One thing I will call out is this level at the moment, I don't think Magassa is good enough. You know, he's definitely not good enough. He's not good enough to come on, I don't think, at this punishing time that we're going through at the moment. Not when you've got your likes of Potts or Kante, unless one of them starts and then you've still got a Potts. There's no way Magassa can get on. He's really not good enough, unless about last 5 maybe, but I'm still itching to find out if Summerville's playing.
You need legs.
I don't think he plays.
Nah, neither do I. You need legs around Rodgers, though.
Yeah, I'm still not too certain we want 5 at back. You know, it's just defensive, isn't it, again? Although, we played 5 at back, and like I said, they're not going to press us the same as City. But same again, we we've got to be able to get out. We've got to be able to get out. If we're having wing backs, they've got to get out, haven't they? You've got to press teams playing that system. You can't just set up and just sit and defend it and hope for somewhat long, because we tried it and Bowen had no legs left when we run through the middle of City. He was just knackered, wasn't he?
Bowen looks like proper knackered every game. He's lost that kind of little bit of zippy and the acceleration just to get away from someone. And I get he's been carrying us. Yeah, no, I'm not. It isn't the criticism, but he just looked shattered. And it was like Traore, he can't last 90 minutes. We haven't really got a winger that you trust to last 90 minutes.
No, we haven't. But
it's worrying.
We're meant to amend and makeshift and that. So, what's your starting lineup then, Dave? Because you are the master.
Unchanged. I've said it. I wouldn't. I would
just
play
leave
the
it as it is. It what?
Same 11 that started against Man City. Start on Sunday.
Even if Summerville's fit on bench and bring him on if needed.
Yeah, even if somebody was like, I wouldn't like George said, I wouldn't risk him. Like if I would rather him sit this one out. Look, if we get a point at Villa, that's a great result. Spurs and for I'm going to both get 3 points. They're going to take points of each other somewhere. And like I've said last month, as long as we stay in someone's rearview mirror, you know, once you come back from the national break, we've got the Cup quarter final, chance to build a little bit of momentum, and then we've got a run of 4, I think, Premier League games with Wolves, Palace, Everton at home, and Brentford that are tough, but very, very winnable for us, especially our current form. So I'm happy to go unchanged. I'd take a draw. You know, I do think for the Z to be got at. So
yeah,
got it, George. Do you want to finish on a prediction, George?
2-0 West Ham. I really think we go there and impose ourselves on them.
I think so as well, George, but I don't think it'll be as convincing. I think we'll beat them 2-1.
My head says 0-0. I think we might. My head's saying 0-0, but I'm gonna go 3-2 West Ham, because if I keep saying it, at some point it's going to come right, and then and then I'm going to look like a genius. People will be like, he said 3-2, and then all the times I said 3-2 and got it wrong, my head's saying 0-0, but I'm going to say 3-2.
Well, I was right last week, Dave, against City, so let's hope I'm right again.
I hope you're right. Right, cheers for joining us, George. Thanks for joining us, Tony.
Thank you.
Let's say, as I say, come on, you irons.
Come on, you irons.